Okay, so we're gonna start now.
Mhm.
Okay, so if everyone could just turn on their cameras for me. Um, Today is class 5. So before we start class today, I was wondering if anyone would like to share a little bit of like our investing simulation project. Um, Hopefully we can get like 3 people to share. If you could just like unmute yourself and I can stop sharing and you can share your screen and show us kind of how your stocks are doing and then kind of go through that document that you filled out on Classroom. If no one volunteers, I'm gonna have to pick someone random. Okay, I guess I'll pick someone random. I'll go down the list of participants. Okay, let's see. Alyssa? I just like scrolled through and found a random name. Okay, well, how about Kylie?
Okay. Should I just share my screen with the document?
If you could like pull
Nana,
up the
something's funny.
if you could pull up the simulation, like the website,
Am I
this
unmuted?
one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, wait, let me stop sharing and give.
Hi,
Okay,
if
you
I'm
should be able to hear
unmuted, can
now.
somebody mute me because I'm not, I don't know what's going on. Something's weird. Oh.
Okay, yeah. So just take us through your portfolio and maybe like highlight some stocks that you invested in. And then also if more people on the Zoom could turn on their cameras so I can count you for attendance. Because if your camera's not on, that doesn't count.
Can I show my stock?
I think Kylie's gonna go right now, but if you want to go after her, that's totally fine. Okay, perfect. So if you want to like highlight a couple of stocks that you invested in or go through like the document with the trades that you made, that all of that works, just like any of those.
Okay. So I invested in Amazon, Coursera, Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Serve Robotics Inc. Um, Amazon and Microsoft and NVIDIA aren't doing that well, but Coursera, which is like online courses, has gone up a lot. And so has Serve Robotics Inc. Um,
Okay. And then, yeah, if you want to like show the doc.
like Amazon was worth a lot. It was worth like $230. Um, and I personally thought it would go up because like how often it's used, and I know a lot of people who use it. And Microsoft was $555, and I also know a bunch of people who use it. And I think it's really useful. And yeah, the same with NVIDIA. Coursera was a little bit of a less expensive stock. It was $24. Um, I don't know. I kind of honestly, I didn't really have that much money left after I got like a lot of big companies. But I know a lot of people who like take courses, so I figured that might do well. And Serve Robotics was for 50, I bought 5 for $51. And I don't know, a lot of people like robots, so I figured it might go up because of that.
Yeah, that's good. Do you think like if you had to redo this simulation, like is there anything that you would change about the way you like started investing? You don't have to like answer this if you don't want to, but
I probably would have planned out my money better
hmm.
because I was left with really little after only buying 3 stocks. So,
Yeah, that's a good thing to take note of. Thank you. Did anyone else want to share next? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, 1 second. I'm just gonna change my screen name so that like we don't have those yesterday at class and people thought my name was Feltham. Okay. So yeah, hold on, wait, let me share screen. Hold on.
I will leave another half hour.
You do realize I'm unmuted. Anyway, so here, share. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Hold on, stop share. Look up the right. It'll take a second. Oh, um, home.
Okay, we might need to move
Give me
on
a second.
really soon though.
Give me 1 second. I'm here. Where did this thing connect? Okay, now give me 1 second. I promise I'll be quick. This one, NVIDIA. Okay, yeah, this is the right one. So this is my thing. So I use this. So I found the hold on. So my so here's my worksheet. So yeah, start. So I use this website. I couldn't get into the Investopedia thing. So I remembered my father uses this website sometimes when he's like checking out stocks, and it's called tradingview.com if anybody wants to see it. I will look at it. It's really useful. It and you can use, so it shows a graph. It shows the countless turns on the graph, and it can say the dates all the way up to like on a single day of position. So you can make a bar for there. So and and so it shows like all of the it can show loads of companies like see Nvidia. So I started with Nvidia and I saw it was at 1.8 and I thought, oh, that's not bad. So I actually thought I would do 2 shares, but then due to complications, I changed it to 1. And like later. And yeah. And then I put 2 for, then I did JP Morgan because I went to JP Morgan. So first JP Morgan. Can anybody see JP Morgan? Oh, JP Morgan here. Yeah. So JP Morgan. So I noticed ever since April, it's been going up pretty well. As I minimized it, I noticed like lately, ever since 2023, it's been steadily increasing. So if this pattern continues and it's steadily increasing, except for this little thing that happened in April of this year. Didn't go so well. Oh, there.
Yeah. Okay,
It's like still been increasing.
yeah, let's do
Then
one more and then we'll
okay, yeah.
move on to the slides
The
for
last
today.
one was Google. So Google, so I noticed, like, yeah, so I did the same thing, checking the pattern. So it's been going up. Yeah, there are some falls, like here, that it's going falling, but then it went up even higher. And it's still going. So I think it'll go up even higher again. So that's why I thought it would go up. And
Mm.
stop sharing.
Thank you for sharing. That's great. Okay. Um, I'll share my screen now. Thank you to everyone who presented, because that's definitely, I'll be taking note of that for the awards and stuff that we have. Yeah, so on to today for class 5. Today we're going to be covering so this title is kind of slightly misleading because we're not really going to be talking about like habits, but we are going to be talking about the money mindset and like the sort of mindset that you should be in to be financially successful. And then talking about specifically setting financial goals, but using the acronym SMART. And then we're going to talk about scarcity versus abundance, which are both like economic terms that you'll probably hear in your economics classes at school. And then delayed gratification, which relates to the whole like investing, savings, and finances in general. And then at the end of class, you're going to fill out a financial goals worksheet. Yeah, you can use the bathroom. Um, yeah, you don't have to ask. So yeah, but you could just turn off your camera to let me know. So to start, we're gonna cover money mindset, and so this is bolded, so you might want to make note of this in your notebooks, but it's basically just a person's belief or their attitude and feelings about money. And this basically influences anyone's financial decisions and your behaviors. But it's very important to know about money mindset, that it's not just about numbers, it's more about like what you think about money, and it's deeply rooted in psychology and your brain essentially. And so your money mindset can either hold you back from financial success or it can propel you towards it. So that's important to know. I'll give everyone like a minute to write this down. Okay, so moving on, we're going to be covering what makes up a money mindset. And so if you want to build a strong mindset that's kind of setting you up for success, you're going to want to probably follow these. Um, so basically, the first thing that makes up a money mindset is essentially just your core beliefs, like what you kind of grew up believing about money and who the people around you have been telling you about money. So right here we have just like beliefs about whether or not money is abundant or scarce, which we're gonna get into later. If you sort of think like whether money is easy or difficult to obtain, and that comes a lot from like the people that you're surrounded by. And then whether or not you think money is good or bad, like if you think it can be used for positive things versus if you think it's used for more negative things. So all of these are very deeply rooted in your mindset about money, and what you think about these essentially determines like how you think about money, which is very important for this concept of the money mindset. So the second one is just your attitude towards money. So feelings about saving, like do you think saving is a good thing? Are you scared of it? With spending, like are you scared to spend money sometimes, or do you spend too much money? Debt, like how you feel about being in debt? Like, would you rather pay off all your debt and possibly have less money, things like that. And then also with investing, like how you view it and how you view like getting returns and investing your money. And then sharing whether that's your financial resources or honestly just like knowledge or anything that is shareable. The third one is your financial behavior. So this relates to how you're budgeting, how you're saving, investing, and how you handle debt. So with the investing simulation, I guess a lot of us were kind of reflecting on how we were investing our money in, even though it was like fake, still, I'm sure a lot of us were looking back on how we were spending our money and how we were investing, and we were realizing like, oh, maybe I didn't budget enough, maybe I didn't save enough for the end. So all of those things are really important to pay attention. And this simulation, even though obviously it's not real, it definitely does help you kind of understand yourself better. And that's really important for if you're trying to grow a good money mindset and be successful financially. And then impact on your financial confidence. So positive money mindset, this basically just leads to more financial confidence and a sense of control over your finances. So you really just want to like assess how your behavior leads to, how your behavior leads to um, more or less financial confidence. Because if you aren't budgeting wisely, for example, with our investing, um, example, you might notice like, oh, maybe this makes me a little bit less confident about my finances and it gives me less of a sense of control over my finances. So you really want to be assessing it, and this activity I think helps a lot with that. And then for the different types of money mindsets, because there are many different ones, and I just put up here that you don't really have to take notes on these because they're not really important for like real life knowledge, but we're just going to cover them in class so you know like the different types, and maybe you can kind of figure out like which one you belong in, possibly. So the first one is scarcity mindset, and this is basically when someone like if you believe that there is never enough money, and this kind of leads you to focus on or prioritize saving all your money no matter what. And you kind of fear spending or investing because you're scared that it's going to go away. Versus an abundance mindset, which is actually completely different. So, this is when someone believes that there are a lot of opportunities and resources. And when you believe that, you basically have a more balanced approach to spending and saving, and you're more willing to invest. So, you can kind of think of like scarcity as just sort of in terms of like money mindsets and economics, is it's usually a negative thing versus abundance, meaning you have a lot of something, it's usually very positive. And then negative money mindset. So negative is also kind of a bad money mindset to be in. And if you do find yourself in any of these kind of bad money mindsets, you can take yourself out by reassessing your behavior and kind of figuring out like what are some steps that I can take to better my relationship with money. And so this negative money mindset has to do with a lot of anxiety or fear or maybe like shame around money. And this could lead to just you avoiding any sort of like matters that have to do with money. Versus the opposite, which is a positive money mindset. So this is obviously a positive thing. So it's very good. It's when you have a lot of feelings of confidence or gratitude and you take a very focused and proactive approach to your finances. So you're very involved in them and you feel very confident about it, but also at the same time, you're really grateful for what you have. So those are the different types. Okay, so then we're going to go a little bit deeper into how to build a strong money mindset, which we sort of touched on earlier, but now we're going to go like a lot more detailed. So, building a strong money mindset is basically when you're transforming your beliefs and attitudes about money and you're kind of shifting to healthier financial habits. And this allows you to achieve your financial goals. And so basically, you're possibly shifting from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset, or you're shifting from a negative to a positive mindset. So, the first step to this is developing healthy financial habits. So, some steps are setting SMART goals, which we're going to talk about later, creating a budget, prioritizing your needs over your wants, automating your savings. So, basically, when you set your like savings account to automatically transfer money to your investing account, things like that, or to pay off your loan or mortgage. That way, you're not like stressing about those things. Building an emergency fund and minimizing any high interest debt. And part of this just includes like paying off your credit cards, things like that. So, by a show of hands, who here um, would buy a car if they ever became a millionaire? Yeah. Who here would buy um specifically a very fancy car if they became a millionaire, maybe like a name brand car? Okay, wait. This is good. This is a lot better than I was expecting. Yeah, so basically a very important part about developing healthy financial habits is just really knowing like what things you should be spending money on versus what things are kind of not as valuable. And for cars especially, um, there's like a saying that goes like, I think it's like as soon as you leave the dealership, your car is basically like it's has essentially lost half its value. So spending so much money on a car isn't necessarily the best financial decision to make. Because if you think about it, like you buy a car and it could be fancy, it could not be fancy, but either way, if you go to sell it afterwards, you're never gonna get full value for it ever again. So let's say like you buy a car for like $50,000. When you're done with it and when you go to sell it, you're never gonna get that $50,000 back ever again. Versus if you were to buy something like maybe an apartment complex or a house, things like that, when you go and sell that house or that apartment, you're definitely gonna get at least all of your money back. Like if you bought a house for a certain amount of money, when you go to sell it, sometimes it could even double because of how the housing market is. But with things like cars, probably like phones as well, electronic devices, those are things that as soon as you take them home from the store, they've like lost half their value. And that's something that is really important to kind of keep in mind when you're trying to develop healthy financial habits. That's not to say that you shouldn't be purchasing these things. It's more just like you should be prioritizing and thinking which one's more important, or maybe thinking like, should I buy the cheaper version of this in case it does lose like half its value? But yeah, I am impressed that you guys, not a lot of you said that you would buy a fancy car because that is usually the right thing to do. And a lot of like millionaires, they stay wealthy because they act kind of frugal, so they don't really like splurge on a lot of things. But when it comes to investing, maybe buying like properties, things that really double in value, they tend to splurge a lot. Okay, so I don't know where my two went, but this one's supposed to be the second one. You want to create a strong and abundant mindset. So oh wait, actually maybe I skipped one. Oh no, never mind. Yeah, so you want to create a strong and abundant mindset. So by doing this, you're basically just focusing on what you have rather than what you're lacking. And I feel like that's really important in today's world where you kind of see yourself like comparing yourself to a lot of other people, and you may be thinking like, oh, they have this, and so I want that as well. You Most times you probably have some version of that at home, and so it's important to really like be grateful for what you do have rather than always striving for more. And then also it's really important to constantly learn about like financial literacy, anything like finance, personal finance related through books or listening to podcasts, videos, or more. I have like some book recommendations. I can like probably post them on Classroom. And then also like podcasts and different videos are also a really good resource. And then you also just want to like set financial goals and celebrate when you achieve them. And then also surrounding yourself with people who influence you positively and are good with money. And then also, it's important to consider donating to some causes that you're passionate about. On the first day of classes, we went over like if everyone became a millionaire, what was one philanthropic cause that you would donate to? And a lot of people were saying some very good answers. So that's also one way to be very grateful for the money that you have and really pay it back. And then the third one is to track your progress and adapt as needed. So your financial plan obviously is not really like set in stone, and your life will change a lot. And as your life changes, your goals may change. And so it's really important to know when to adjust your financial plan and just know that you're able to change that when needed. And you can also like use a money journal or just some sort of app to track your spending because that's really important. You can kind of see like, oh, maybe this month I'm spending a bit too much on blank, and next month I should try to do less of that. And then it's also good to see how your spending correlates with your emotions because sometimes people may spend more money when they feel emotional, but that is a bit more psychological. So we won't go into that. Okay, so now getting into scarcity versus abundance. So these are important to take note of in your journals. But scarcity, like we said before, is kind of a negative thing. So basically, short supply slash shortage, or just not enough to fulfill people's needs. And so, in like economic terms, if a country has like a shortage of like water or a certain food, um, that would be a scarcity of that thing versus abundance, which is a very large amount of something. And it basically just means when you have like a lot or a sufficient amount of something. And so this is like when you have the perfect amount or sometimes maybe even too much. And so in business terms, like think about if you own like a clothing brand or something, if you have an abundance of inventory, you have a lot of clothing. Or like if a country has an abundance of um like oil, that means that they obviously have a very large amount of it. And then we have a chart here that's kind of like I made this so that it's easier to kind of see the difference between the scarcity and abundance mindsets, which we kind of talked about before. With this, obviously, you would rather have a little bit more of an abundance lifestyle or just a mindset in general. Because when you have one of these, it's just like when you believe that there are so many opportunities and resources out there for you, and you're able to also utilize them, and it gives you just a positive outlook on life. And then you are very willing to share because you know that like you can create more for yourself in the future. So like you're willing to share your money, you're willing to donate, you're willing to tell people about your knowledge because you know that you're able to earn more money later on. Okay, now we're going to move on to talking about delayed gratification. So, delayed gratification is basically someone's ability to resist the temptation of an immediate reward in favor of a more valuable reward later on. So, it's basically like oh wait, I have some examples down here actually. But it's basically like rather than receiving an immediate reward for doing something, you kind of like you stop yourself and you wait and you're patient, and that way you can actually receive a better reward in the future and benefit your future self. So it's all about kind of self-control and knowing if I do this, if I'm patient now, my future self will benefit so much. And you're being able to kind of control yourself and stop yourself from getting that immediate gratification is really important, especially in like finance and personal finance. So some examples of like real life interpretations of delayed gratification are like, for example, if you have a test tomorrow and you have two options, you can either immediately have a pleasure, which is going out with your friends for fun. So like you immediately have fun, you immediately get gratification, or you can choose to study for the test, which may not be fun at all, but you know that you're going to have so much more benefit in the future if you do study for that test. So by choosing to study, you're going to do well on the test and you'll get more time to spend with your friends later on. So that's thinking about your future. Because a lot of times with personal finance, things like that, people tend to think about the now, like they want instant um, gratification. Like if you're at the store, you see something, maybe you want it now, rather than maybe waiting a couple of days and putting that money to better use, and benefiting your future self. Uh, yes, Galvia. Yeah, did someone raise their hand?
Hi, may I say something?
Oh yeah, did you have a question?
No, I just wanted to say something, say something.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So yeah, so once, so like one, mm, like one, so like one, my father spoke like with me that like hold on, like a good example of the delayed gratification is like let's say yeah, so you're let's say the parents say that if you if you do a chore a day, you will get you'll get 5 puffs, let's say. But if you do chores for the whole week, then thanks to the multiplying, you get 35. So 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 how much which and they say so so you can get the money and say no rather than now, or you can get it after a week because then it'll be more.
Yeah, that's a good example of it. Yeah. Yeah, so like what she was saying about doing your chores and being able to get more money in the future, that also relates to like delayed gratification. So that's a good one. Yeah. Um, and then another example would be like if you're saving money for a down payment on your house rather than spending it on a vacation or maybe like a new phone, something like that. Because it's going to take some time and it's going to take some patience and it's kind of hard to like resist a vacation or a new phone. But at the end of the day, you're choosing to save that money for a down payment because you know that it's going to benefit you more in the future. Okay. Um, so now we're gonna go into talking about something called the marshmallow test, which I learned about in school once, and before that I had no idea that this existed, and it's a very good example of delayed gratification. So has anyone ever heard of this before? Oh yeah, someone has. Do you maybe want to try explaining it, or I can also explain it? But okay, yeah.
So I actually saw a video online, but I never saw the complete video. So
Mhm. Oh, okay. So you've like, yeah, so you've heard of the name before. Okay, cool. So today I'm gonna be explaining like actually in depth what this is. So the marshmallow test, it's also called the Stanford Marshmallow Experiment, so that's like the longer name for it. But it was conducted by a psychologist at Stanford University, but it's important to keep in mind that this is kind of like a little bit of an older experiment, although there have been a lot of like recreations of it in today's society. And basically, it's supposed to test the ability of young children to delay gratification by resisting an immediate reward. So, like we talked about before, going out with friends or going on vacation, buying a phone. In this case, that is a marshmallow, which obviously is something that you would want right away. But the catch was if you didn't eat the marshmallow right away, in 15 minutes, the researcher would come back into the room, and if you hadn't eaten it, they would give you another marshmallow. And I think at that point you could probably eat it. But yeah, the whole point of this was basically just to see if these like preschool, maybe like early elementary school children who are in the beginning stages of their lives, if they were able to resist, the immediate reward, knowing they could get something better later on. Oh wait, I guess I like already wrote it out at the bottom. But yeah, so basically they were just brought into the room and they were shown a marshmallow. They were told that they could eat it right away, or if they waited for like until the researcher got back, they could get another marshmallow. And then yeah, so it was just basically to study how long each child could wait before they ate it. So how long they could really like delay their gratification for. And they use this kind of like as an indicator for how successful they could be because we're learning about this now because it relates a lot to personal finance and just like um finances in general, like when you're taking into account your savings, your stocks, things like that. It really takes a lot of like patience, and sometimes you really are just tempted to buy something or do something and you really need to wait. If you know that and analyze, if you know something better is coming, you want to be patient and delay that gratification for a bigger reward. And so these kids that were part of this experiment were actually like tracked into adulthood. And so these researchers found a positive correlation between their ability to delay gratification and other outcomes like academic achievement, social and emotional development, and healthier lifestyle choices. So essentially, what this is saying is that the kids who were able to delay gratification, who were able to put off eating that first marshmallow and wait to receive the second one, they actually turned out to be a lot more successful in terms of academics, I think probably in terms of career, in terms of finances, development, and their lifestyles than the kids who weren't able to resist and immediately ate the marshmallow and didn't get the bigger reward. Okay. I think we have enough time for this. Um, actually, so this is like a video, it's a TED Talk by I think a psychologist, and he's reflecting on the marshmallow experiment, but I think just for the sake of time, we won't watch it, but I can link it on Classroom or it's like in the slides for anyone who's interested. Okay, so now we're going to get into setting smart financial goals, which is kind of the focus of today's class. So this word smart obviously means like intelligent in real life, but here for personal finance purposes, we're going to be using it as an acronym. So each letter in the word smart is going to mean something, and it can really help guide you for anything that you're saving for, especially bigger things in life that really take a lot of consideration. Try using this acronym because it'll really help you. And maybe if it isn't the best thing to save and purchase, you'll realize it through using this model. And we're going to do some practice for that for homework today. So, starting with the S in let me take my pointer. Okay, starting with the S in SMART. So this stands for specific, and I know that obviously this one word isn't really enough to get you thinking, and it's probably like you're wondering like what do you mean by specific? So I kind of simplified it for you by just putting like a little question that you can ask yourself. So for specific, like what are you saving for? And then measurable. So that's measurable, meaning like, is this something that you can actually like measure out in terms of like how much it costs or how much it's going to cost to save for? So to simplify it, it's basically just how much do you want to save? And then attainable. So attainable means like achievable. So some questions that you can ask yourself for this is this realistic? Is it doable? Things like that. And especially with this question, if you're looking at a very big purchase, that you are trying to save for, then once you get to this question, maybe you'll start realizing like, oh, maybe this purchase that I've been wanting for a very long time isn't actually realistic. Or maybe I can't, um, like maybe I won't be able to achieve it. Like maybe I don't have enough money saved up, things like that. And then relevancy, so that's the R. Is this worth saving for? So again, the smart financial goals like model is supposed to be for like anything that you need to save a large amount of money for. So like maybe a house, maybe a vacation, maybe like a sporting event, things like that. And then the T stands for time bound. So when are you going to meet the goal? So for this part, you're going to want to kind of put like maybe some deadlines in there for yourself, like deadline one, on this date, I want to save this much money. And then it'll all add up in the end. And then you'll have like one big deadline where you're like, I have to have all of my money saved up by this final date. And have that for yourself because this also helps you stay on track with saving. So yeah, make sure to take note of this in your journal anywhere because this is very important for future uses, especially when you get a little bit older and maybe you have like an allowance now, or maybe you're gonna get a job when you're maybe in high school or college. This is very important because once you make your own money, you're gonna want to maybe go to like concerts sometimes, go to like events, and you need to save up for that. So this is a good way to do that. And then we're going to go over an example right now. So with the S right here, so back to the concert example, maybe I am interested in going to a concert. So this is the Katy Perry concert. I think she's like going to New York. Um, yeah, so if I'm saving for this, so how much do I want to save? So I'm going to go and research. If I want to go to this concert, I'm obviously going to have to figure out like how much I'm going to need to pay for this. So I found on the website that the total amount that I'm gonna have to pay for these tickets are $206. This is for two people. Like let's say I'm going with a friend of mine. Maybe it's like her birthday, and we're gonna go together to celebrate. And so it's going to be $206.60. So you write that out right here, but then also specify like if you're buying tickets for something, like how many you're buying or for how many people, things like that. Next, A, is this attainable? Is it realistic? Is it doable? Am I able to do this? Let's dive into that. So yeah, I concluded that yes, because I have a job and it pays maybe like $30 an hour. It is doable because I divided this cost by the cost of the tickets by how much I earn per hour. And I got 6.88, so I just rounded that to 7 hours. So if I worked for 7 hours, I would have enough to pay for these tickets. So that's my plan, and it makes sense because it's attainable. Now, relevant. So is this worth saving for? Like, why am I saving for these concert tickets? Like, why do I want to go? Is it really worth it? So I decided yes, because I'm a big fan of the person who's playing, and it's maybe a gift for my friend's birthday or we're going to celebrate. So it is relevant. And that's kind of how I know, like, okay, I'm going to continue with this because clearly, like, I really do want to go to this and I'm very set on it. But if you get to this point when you're kind of filling out this model and it's a very serious thing to save for, and you're kind of sort of iffy about it, and you're like, oh, maybe it's not totally worth saving for, that's when you sort of need to rewind and reassess the situation. Like if this is a very high-end car, things like that. And you get to this point and you're like, is this really worth it? If you have any doubts at this point, you're gonna want to go back and really research a lot more and make sure that this is truly the right purchase for you. Maybe there's other options out there that are cheaper. So this question is very important in terms of like, are you actually going to do this and does this really make sense? Or are you gonna regret it after you buy it? Now, so time bound. So when am I going to meet this goal? So I said here that the concert is on August 11th, which is actually like next week, I think. I'm not actually going to this concert, but if I were to buy tickets for this, so the concert is next Monday, and so I must meet this goal at least a week before. So technically today, if I really wanted to go, I would have to have the money ready today and buy these tickets as soon as possible before they're sold out. So that's my example basically. And if I were to go into more specifics, like if this were a bigger purchase, like a car or a house, I would definitely map out at the bottom, like I'm gonna save up this much money by this day, and by this day I'm gonna have this much, and then keep going down and give myself deadlines. But because this is a bit of a smaller thing, it's obviously not that detailed. Okay, so yeah, so for homework, I have the Smart Financial Goals worksheet posted on Classroom. I'll post it right now. And so you're just gonna fill this out. I'll go over this with you right now. It's right here. Okay, yeah, so you're just gonna fill this out, basically following this example, but I also have another one on here. So I put the acronym on here to remind you in case you didn't take notes in class or just maybe forgot it, which is totally okay. But yeah, so I have that right here. You're going to want to follow that throughout. So basically, you're going to get you're going to do three, I think. Yeah. So you're going to do three big things that you want to save for, or actually two, sorry. Two things that you want to save for. You can kind of make them as big as you want or as small as you want. It really doesn't matter. You can make it like a concert, like what I did, or like an electronic, like a college education, things like that. I would say to make it a little bit more complicated and to make sure you're actually getting the most out of this homework, you want to pick one big purchase. So maybe one big thing like a house or a car or a college education, and then you can pick one small thing like a toy or um, like a clothing item, something smaller, like a Stanley, things like that. Yeah, so one big, one small if you really want to get the most out of this. So to start, you're just going to highlight if this is a want or a need. So my example in this is a vacation to Paris. So obviously this is a want because I don't need this to survive. So I just highlighted that right there. And then you go through and you just fill it out according to my example, but then also I have this example here. So you're gonna want to find some sort of like link, like if this is a house, maybe you can go on Zillow and find like a link to the house. Or if this is like concert tickets, you can maybe go on the website and figure out how much that costs. And then you're just gonna want to like paste it right at the bottom, the link.
I yeah, so for the income thing, can we just use our income from from the week two homework?
Yeah, you can if you want to. It's like, yeah, you can like make up in it. I'll get there later, but yeah, I'll explain it a little bit more once I get there. So yeah, for this, you're just gonna say like how much it costs and then have like a link to show that. And then, um, yeah, you can do as many examples for or as many savings for this as you want. You can just add more by like copy and pasting the questions. So then go into like, is it realistic or doable? So you want to like specifically kind of focus on these questions and then just follow kind of this example. Obviously, don't copy exactly what I write. You will get points off for that because I want to see original thinking. So don't copy word for word at all. So same thing as in the slides, is this worth saving for? When will I meet this goal? And then here I actually do have like a little bit more detailed with like on this day I'm gonna do this, on this day I'm gonna do this, things like that. Yeah, so then you're just gonna go down here. And then like you said before with the incomes, Over here, you're going to want to kind of write a bit about your income. And so you can use the one from your budgeting spreadsheet, like when we had to pick a random career, or you can just like make up your own. In this case, I just made up my own salary. But yeah, either one works. So you're just going to fill out these two right here. And then if you want to do some more, you can just copy and paste these to the bottom. Okay, so that's gonna be homework for today, and then for an end of class activity, oh wait, for reasoning, can it be made up or yeah, it could just be made up. Like you don't need to actually do this in real life. Like you could just make up a reasoning. Like for my vacation to Paris, like I just made up a random reasoning, and like for my example here, like I also just made up a random reasoning. So just pretend like you're like doing it like as if it were kind of real, but obviously like you're not actually doing it. You can just make something up. Okay. So then for an end of class activity today, we're gonna write. So basically, when I took a very similar class when I was in middle school, we had an activity where we had to write a letter to our future, so possibly millionaire self. And this is like really good for reflecting on how what you've learned during this class and also like just asking your future self if they've like maybe used anything from this class or how they're doing in terms of financial success. So on Google Docs or on like a physical sheet of paper, you can do either one. I can post the assignment right now. Oh wait, let me assign the homework as well. So I do have a doc here in case you want it, but you can also do this on paper, and you can kind of like decorate this and make it like fancy if you wanted to. I also have the requirements written down right here in case you need that as a guide. But yeah, you're gonna decorate it a little bit, and then for some ideas, like tell yourself, your future self, something that you've learned in this class. Maybe like write down some causes that you would want your future self to donate to. Ask them if they've been investing money or saving properly, things like that. And then maybe like also tell them like right now in your life what you sort of envision your future self to be like and what you hope to be doing. And you can honestly sort of send this to like your future self in like 10 years or 20 years. You can kind of pick the date. So yeah, you're gonna want to keep this document or the sheet of paper for your future self to read and just write a date on it that you want your future self to read it on. And if you wrote it in a document, you can also like put it in an email. Like if you have Gmail, you can schedule it to send to yourself on a day in like maybe 10 years. If anyone also wants, like I can also do that for you. So yeah, either one. So you can just spend the next like 5 minutes of class working on this. But yeah, I'm just gonna grade this for completion, unlike the other homework assignments. Like this one's just gonna be for fun. And I'm not reading any of these because I get that they're obviously personal. I'm just gonna be like clicking through them and seeing if there's been stuff written and grading based on that. So this is definitely a completion grade. And if you did it on paper, I just ask that you submit a photo of it on Classroom. Okay, so yeah, you guys have the next, I guess, like 4 minutes to work on this. And then quickly, does anyone have any questions on what we learned today? Because when everyone else is working, I can also review some things.
Do you have to finish this by the end of class?
No, I think the due date for this is like next week, so you have time.
Okay.